Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're covering FIFA World Cup 2026 Matchday 3 for Group J, K, and L. So this will be a full analyst plus qualification scenarios plus knockout paths. So let's get right into it. So for disclosure, if I am pronouncing these names wrong or these words wrong, I want to say sorry in advance first because I'm not really good at pronouncing names, I guess. So let's head right into it. So we're talking about qualifications, we're talking about survival, and perhaps most importantly, we're talking about knockout paths. Because finishing first, second, or third can completely change your World Cup journey. A team that finishes first might get a favorable round of 32 matchup. A team that finishes second could suddenly find themselves facing one of the tournament's favorites. And teams sitting in the third know that every goal could determine whether they qualify as one of the best third place teams. So today we'll analyze Croatia versus Ghana, England versus Panama, Colombia versus Portugal, DR Congo versus Uzbekistan, Algeria versus Austria, and finally Jordan versus Argentina. So let's begin with the first match. The first match of the day comes from Group L, Croatia versus Ghana. This game has enormous implications. Croatia enters as the favorite. They have tournament experience, they have leadership, and they have players who understand exactly what is required on the biggest stage. For Croatia, finishing first in the group could mean avoiding a potential heavyweight in the next round. That's huge. No team wants to face France, Brazil, Argentina, or Spain earlier than necessary. Croatia understands that. Luka Modrić may be approaching the final stages of his international career, but his football intelligence remains elite. Every touch slows the game down, every pass controls the rhythm. Alongside him, Mateo Kovačić provides composure and balance. Defensively, Joško Gvardiol has become one of the best defenders in world of football. His recovery speed and positioning allow Croatia to remain compact even against fast attackers. But Ghana presents a serious challenge. This team knows their World Cup depends on this match. When a team has nothing to lose, they become dangerous. I can't figure out an example, but there's many. You can search that up. Mohammed Kudus has emerged as Ghana's biggest threat. His dribbling, his movement, his unpredictability, he can create chances out of nothing. Jordan Ayew and Antoine Semenyo, I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, provide additional attacking options. The biggest question is whether Ghana can handle Croatia's midfield control. If Ghana spends the entire game chasing possession, eventually gaps will appear. Croatia wants control, Ghana wants chaos. That's the battle. And because qualification is potentially at stake, expect a highly emotional contest, so it will be entertaining. So let's head on right next to the second game. Now we move to England versus Panama. On paper, this looks straightforward, but World Cups are never that simple. England may already be qualified, however, first place is still extremely valuable. The difference between first place and second could completely alter the knockout bracket. England's coaching staff knows this. They won't want to gamble. Harry Kane remains England's leader. Jude Bellingham continues to be one of the most complete midfielders in football. Bukayo Saka can destroy defenses in one-on-one situations, and Phil Foden provides creativity between the lines. England's biggest strength is depth. Few teams can bring world-class players off the bench, but there is always one concern. England occasionally becomes passive when leading. Instead of killing games, they allow opponents to stay alive. Against Panama, that could create unnecessary pressure. Panama enters knowing this could be their final match. For them, qualification may depend on producing a miracle. And sometimes, that's exactly when underdogs become dangerous. Panama will likely defend deep, stay compact, and look for set pieces or counterattacks. If they can frustrate England early, pressure could eventually build up. But over 90 minutes, the quality gap is difficult to ignore. And that is pretty obvious. So let's head on to the third match. Now, this might be the game of the day, Colombia versus Portugal. A potential battle for first place. A potential knockout preview. Because apparently, if you get second place, the runner-up, you'll be facing much more bigger opponents. And perhaps one of the most entertaining matches of the entire group stage. Colombia has quietly become one of the tournament's dark horses. Luis Diaz has been outstanding. His direct running causes problems for every defense. Jhon Durán brings power and energy. James Rodriguez continues to provide experience and creativity. Colombia's biggest weapon is transition football. Portugal, meanwhile, prefers control. Bruno Fernandes dictates tempo. Bernardo Silva creates space. Rafael Leão stretches defenses. This is a fascinating tactical clash. Colombia wants a fast game. Portugal wants a controlled game. The winner could secure a much more favorable route throughout the knockout stage. And that alone increases the importance of this match dramatically. Don't be surprised if this feels like a knockout game long before the knockout stage even begins. Because literally, if you look on who gets the second place, who will they be facing? We have France, and that is crazy. I wouldn't want to be in second place, to be honest. So let's head on right to the next match. So this may actually not be the biggest headline match, but it could be one of the most important. Both teams likely enter needing points and potentially needing a result to stay alive in qualification calculations. For DR Congo, physicality remains their biggest advantage. They're athletic, they're powerful, and they can make life difficult for opponents. However, consistency has been a major issue. Defensively, they have struggled to maintain organization. Offensively, they've missed opportunities. Uzbekistan has impressed many observers. They're disciplined, they're structured, and they rarely beat themselves. This is a team that understands its identity. They're comfortable without possession, they're comfortable defending, and they're comfortable waiting for mistakes. The pressure factor here is enormous. One mistake could end a World Cup campaign that usually creates a cautious match. Expect tension, expect nerves, and expect both teams to understand exactly what's at stake. So, let's head on right to the next match. Now, this is one of the most intriguing matches of Matchday 3. Austria has quietly become one of Europe's most difficult teams to play against. Their pressing system is relentless, their energy is incredible, and they force opponents into mistakes. Marcel Sabitzer remains their leader. Christoph Baumgartner provides attacking quality, and their collective organization makes them extremely dangerous. Algeria, meanwhile, has players capable of changing games individually. Riyad Mahrez remains one of Africa's most technically gifted players. Amin Gouiri brings creativity. Mohamed Amoura adds pace. The challenge for Algeria is consistency. When they play with confidence, they're excellent. When mistakes begin creeping in, problems follow quickly. Qualification pressure could play a major role here. Austria knows a win could secure a strong knockout path. Algeria may need a result simply to stay alive. The difference in psychology pressure could influence the entire match. So I'd say this would be a must-watch match. It would be entertaining to watch, I guess. So let's move on right to the next match. And finally, we arrive at Argentina versus Jordan. On paper, this is the most one-sided matchup of the day. Argentina enters as one of the tournament's favorites. Jordan enters as the underdog. But Matchday 3 can produce surprises, like how today, not today actually, a couple of days ago I think, Germany lost to Ecuador, and that was pretty surprising. Especially if qualification scenarios becomes complicated. Argentina's biggest objective may not be simply winning. It may be securing first place and avoiding dangerous opponents later in the tournament. Emiliano Martinez remains one of the best tournament goalkeepers in the world. Christian Romero anchors the defense. Enzo Fernandez and Alexis McAllister control the midfield. And up front, Julian Alvarez and Lautaro Martinez provides goals. Jordan deserves enormous respect for reaching this stage. Their discipline and organization have kept them competitive, but the talent gap is significantly huge. Jordan's best chance will be staying compact and hoping Argentina becomes frustrated and they might push into mistakes. If Argentina scores early though, the game could quickly become difficult. The Albiceleste understands that every position in the standings matter, and that's why they cannot afford complacency. And that is quite understanding for us actually. So let's head on right into the final predictions. Alright everyone, time for the final predictions. So we have Croatia versus Ghana. Croatia experience and midfield quality should be enough, but Ghana will make it difficult. So I would go for Croatia win against Ghana 2-1. And let's head on right to the next one though. England controls possession and secures first place comfortably. So I'd say Harry Kane might get back on form. The England will win 3-0 against Panama. I'm quite confident in that, but I'm not really sure. Matchday 3 has been quite unpredictable. And now let's talk about Portugal versus Colombia, the match of the day. Portugal edges a fantastic contest and potentially secures the better knockout route. Portugal wins 2-1 against Colombia because I like leaning to Portugal more rather than Colombia. So let's head on right to the next one, that is Uzbekistan versus DR Congo. A tense tactical match decided by a single moment. I'd say Uzbekistan wins 1-0 against DR Congo. And now we're talking about Austria versus Algeria. Austria's pressing eventually overwhelms Algeria, and that is actually quite seen. So I'd say Austria wins 2-1 against Algeria. And finally, we have Argentina versus Jordan. Argentina secures first place and enters the knockout stage with momentum, and that is actually quite predictable with their performance. I'd say Argentina wins 3-0 against Jordan. Well, those are my predictions for Matchday 3 for Group J, K, and L. Who finishes first? Who qualifies as one of the best third place teams? And which team do you think is being overlooked right now? Let me know in the comments down below about your predictions. If you enjoyed this World Cup analyst, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the knockout stage previews and the stages right after this, because I'm covering the whole World Cup. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.